Hi, everyone. Welcome to week 2. I just wanted to take a couple of minutes to go through the week 2 module with you so that you know what lessons and assignments are in store for you this week. Now, you may still be finishing some of the items from week 1, and that is fine. Try to get those submitted as soon as possible so that you can move on with week 2. The first thing you'll have to do here in week 2 is take the week 2 attendance quiz. You won't be able to see any of the lessons or assignments for the week until that attendance quiz has been submitted. And remember, the questions on that quiz will come from the material we covered in week 1. Once you submit the quiz, then you'll be able to see the lessons and assignments for the week. The first item you'll see under the quiz is a brief review of week 1. Under that, you will see our first lesson of the week, which is on reason and emotion, and how those two things work together in terms of critical thinking skills. This corresponds to chapter 2 of our textbook. There will be a video where I go through the PowerPoint in real time, and then there will be a link to the PowerPoint underneath the video. Then we have our second lesson of the week, which is about language and communication and how those two things work together in terms of critical thinking skills. And again, there'll be a video where I go through the PowerPoint and then a link to the PowerPoint under the video. Our homework for the week. You want to make sure that you read through chapters 2 and 3 that go along with the lessons this week. And if you have time, skim over chapters 4 and 5 just to get an idea of what we'll be covering next week. All right. But at the very least, make sure you look at chapters 2 and 3 so that you're prepared for the other homework items this week. We have our week 2 discussion. There'll be a video in the discussion prompt if you prefer a verbal explanation, or you can just read the prompt. Try to have your first post up by Thursday night so that everyone has plenty of time and options to choose from to respond to 2 classmates by Sunday night. The week 2 discussion is due Sunday night. It will remain open during week 3, but remember, if you're posting during week 3, it is at a 50% reduction. We have our week 2 vocab slides, which will cover important vocab from chapters 2 and 3. There'll be a video in those assignment instructions if you need to hear the verbal explanation. But there are also written instructions that you can use. Try to have that in by Sunday night. We have our week 2 written responses, so a handful of questions covering the material from chapter 2 and a handful of questions covering the material from chapter 3. You can watch the video in those instructions as well, but the questions are there for you to answer. I would say, you don't necessarily need to watch the video, but if you come across a question while you're working on this assignment and you're not quite sure what the question means, maybe then go back to the video and get to the part where I talk about that question. You can always reach out to me as well. Try to have that assignment in by Sunday night. Then we have our week 2 critical thinking issue. Make sure that you watch the video in that instruction area because you'll actually have 2 options for completing the week 2 critical thinking issue. So make sure that you watch that video because it's a little different than week 1. Week 1, we only covered 1 chapter, so you only had 1 critical thinking issue to work with. Here in week 2, we're covering 2 chapters. So each chapter has a critical thinking issue at the end. So this week, you're going to get to choose which one you answer questions about. So it's a little different. Make sure you watch the video in that one, at least this week, so that you understand how it's going to work for subsequent weeks where we cover multiple chapters. And try to have that in by Sunday night as well. The last item that we have this week is that very short assignment that I mentioned in the conspiracy theory essay overview last week, which is our conspiracy theory essay check-in assignment. So remember, this is where you're going to be narrowing your options down to 2 conspiracy theories that you are potentially going to work with for the conspiracy theory essay in week 5 and 6. There'll be a video in that instruction area as well if you need a reminder of what that's all about, but have that in by Sunday night too. All right, so that is it here in week 2. Definitely reach out if you have questions or run into any kind of issues. Otherwise, you are free to go ahead and get started.